Imagine the moment you realize your entire family, the people you'd sacrifice anything for, have orchestrated a cruel, elaborate scam against you. A scam that left you drowning in debt. Also, your sister could take her kids on a $21,000 luxury cruise. It all started subtly, innocently enough, in one of those dimly lit chain restaurants with oversized portions. My parents had chosen it, and from the moment I sat down, a strange tension hung in the air. My mom fidgeted with her napkin. My dad stared at the menu like it held nuclear launch codes. Then my mom's voice, usually so steady, cracked as she began. "Sweetheart, we need to talk about something." She told me about Dad's heart medication costs, soaring again, and how their insurance was fighting coverage for his physical therapy. My dad, looking utterly embarrassed, nodded along. "We've been managing," he confessed. "But the bills are piling up faster than we can handle them. We didn't want to burden you." My chest tightened, a painful knot forming. These were my parents, the ones who'd worked double shifts to pay for my college textbooks, who'd never asked for a single thing, even when I knew money was tight. To see them so vulnerable, so clearly struggling, felt like a knife twisting in my gut. Without a second thought, I asked, "How much do you need?" They exchanged glances, hesitant. "Maybe $5,000 to start," my mom ventured, "just to catch up on what's overdue. We'll pay you back, of course." I reached across the table, grabbed her hand. "Forget paying me back," I insisted. "I'll open a credit card tomorrow. Medical expenses are exactly what these things are for, right? Plus, 0% interest for the first year." My dad's eyes welled up. "Jenny, you don't have to do that." But I knew I did. "Yes, I do. You're my parents. This is what family does." The sheer relief that washed over their faces was, at that moment, everything. It made the entire conversation, the gut-wrenching feeling, worth it. We finished dinner with lighter conversation, and I left feeling a sense of peace I hadn't experienced in months. My job as a medical billing coordinator didn't exactly pay amazing money, but I was single, rent was manageable, and I could handle some credit card debt if it meant my parents could finally breathe easier. The very next morning, I applied for a credit card with a $15,000 limit, approved within hours. But then a flicker of caution. Giving them unlimited access felt risky, so I decided on a safer route. A second card, a secured one with just a $500 limit for small emergency copays. That seemed sensible. I called my parents and gave them only the account number for that smaller secured card, keeping the larger one as a backup, just in case there was a truly major medical emergency. My mom cried on the phone, thanking me profusely. My dad got on, promising they'd be careful with it. 2 weeks passed. I was scrolling through Instagram during my lunch break, sipping my coffee, when I saw it. My sister, Melissa, had posted a video montage set to some obnoxious pop song. Her twin daughters, Sophia and Emma, were in matching designer outfits, wheeling matching pink suitcases across a dock. Behind them, a massive cruise ship loomed, the kind with rock climbing walls and water slides visible from the exterior. The caption screamed, "Just back from birthday paradise. Girls turned 7 in style. 5 days of sun, sand, and adventure. Hashtag blessed, hashtag living, hashtag luxury travel." I nearly choked on my coffee. Melissa, a part-time yoga instructor married to Brandon, a car salesman who talked a big game but rarely closed deals. They lived in a rental, constantly complaining about money. Just last month she'd borrowed $200 from me for groceries, money I knew I'd never see again. My blood started to boil. I scrolled through her stories, a sparkling pool deck, champagne flutes, kids getting spa treatments, a massive birthday cake shaped like a mermaid castle, shots of their premium balcony suite with ocean views. Another video showed them at a resort on some tropical island. The girls running through a private beach party with a DJ, balloon arches, and what looked like hired performers in costume. The rage hit me like a physical wave. I opened our text thread, fingers flying. "Wow, looks amazing. You could have invited me. By the way, how did you pay for all this?" The response came back within seconds, dripping with smugness. "Don't be silly. Thanks to your card." I stared at my phone screen, reading those words over and over. My hands started shaking. "What card?" I typed back. "The one you opened for Mom and Dad. Genius. They gave it to me since you said to use it for whatever we needed. The girls deserve this. They've been through so much with Brandon's job situation." My vision went red. This didn't make sense. The secured card only had a $500 limit. There was absolutely no way she paid for a cruise with that. My hands trembling now, I logged into my credit card accounts. The secured card showed one small charge, $40 at a pharmacy. Then I checked the other account. The $15,000 card I hadn't given my parents the number for. My stomach dropped into my shoes. $15,873. The card was maxed out, with an additional $800 in over-limit fees. It was worse than I could have imagined. My hands trembled as I texted Melissa back. $15,000? Are you insane? "Oh, relax," she replied dismissively. "You'll pay it off eventually. Besides, you make way more than me." The girls needed this memory. You wouldn't understand since you don't have kids. Something cold, hard, and terrifying settled in my chest. How did you even get the number for that card? I only gave my parents the secured card information. They must have gone through my account somehow, or worse, called the bank pretending to be me. I typed out my response carefully, every word loaded. That's interesting because I only gave Mom and Dad the account number for a secured card with a $500 limit. You know, for small copays and prescriptions. Did you check which card you were actually using? 3 dots appeared and disappeared multiple times. Then my phone rang. Melissa, what are you talking about? Her voice had lost its smug edge, replaced by a tremor of panic. I gave them access to one card. A small one. For emergencies. The card you just maxed out? I never gave them that number. Which means someone went into my accounts without permission. You're lying. Mom gave me a card number and it worked for everything. Oh, I'm sure it worked, I retorted, my voice dangerously calm. Because that card had a $15,000 limit. But I never authorized anyone to use it. So congratulations, Melissa. You didn't just overspend on a gift card. You committed actual fraud. I hung up and smiled grimly. 20 minutes later, my phone exploded. Melissa called 6 times. My mom called 4. Text messages flooded in, ranging from furious to panicked. I ignored all of them. By the way, if you're finding yourself utterly shocked by this story, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Trust me, the twists and turns keep coming, and you won't want to miss what happens next. I called my mom back. How did you get the account number for my second credit card? I asked without preamble. Ginny, let me explain. How did you get it? Silence. Then a confession I'll never forget. I called the bank. Said I was you. They verified me with your birthday and social security number. My own mother. You committed identity theft. Don't be ridiculous. I'm your mother. That's literally identity theft, Mom. You impersonated me to access my financial accounts. Then you gave that information to Melissa, who spent $15,000 without my knowledge or consent. We were helping your sister. She needed this. She needed a $15,000 cruise while you're supposedly struggling with medical bills? More silence. A horrifying realization dawned on me. There are no medical bills, are there? I said, my voice barely a whisper. Or at least not the kind you described. You made it sound worse than it was, so I'd open a credit card. Then you stole the information for a different card so Melissa could go on vacation. This was planned from the beginning. That's not, we didn't plan it exactly like that, she stammered. But you planned something. The dinner. The tears. The whole performance. You manipulated me. Ginny, please. Your sister was so depressed. The girls deserved something special. We thought you wouldn't mind. Wouldn't mind? You thought I wouldn't mind $15,000 in debt for a vacation I wasn't even invited on? We were going to tell you eventually, she insisted. After you saw how happy it made everyone. I hung up. My hands were still shaking with a cold, pure rage. My boss, Carol, a veteran of 15 years with a sixth sense for her team's struggles, noticed something was off. Everything okay, Jenny? She asked, stopping by my desk. Family stuff, I said, trying to keep my voice neutral. Nothing I can't handle. But she knew. Work became my only sanctuary, focusing on insurance claims and billing codes. Anything to avoid the horrifying truth that my entire family had just imploded. Around 3 o'clock, my phone buzzed with an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Jennifer Patterson? A woman's voice asked. Speaking. This is Sandra Morales from the credit card fraud department. We received an alert on your account for unusual activity. Can you verify some recent charges? My stomach clenched. Yes, I confirmed. I can verify that I didn't make any of those charges. That's actually why I was planning to call you. I see. Can you walk me through what happened? I explained everything: the cruise line charges, resort fees, spa treatments, excursions, pulling up the account on my computer as I spoke. Sandra listened, typing occasionally. So, you gave your parents verbal authorization for medical expenses only, and they provided the card information to your sister without your knowledge. Exactly. And your sister made these charges knowing they exceeded what you'd authorized. She admitted it in text messages. I can forward them to you. Please do. I'm going to put a temporary hold on the account while we investigate. You won't be responsible for the charges during the investigation period. A glimmer of hope. However, she cautioned, if we determine that you gave someone access to the account, even with restrictions, it complicates things. I understand, but I never gave my sister access. My parents did that without asking me. We'll need documentation. A police report would be helpful. I'm planning to file one today. Sandra paused. Ma'am, are you sure you want to go that route? Once you involve law enforcement, this becomes a criminal matter. These people stole over $21,000 from me. I shot back. What else would you call it? I'm just saying family situations can get messy. We see it all the time. It's already messy, I said, my voice firm. I'm just making it official. After we hung up, I clicked through every single charge. Premium cruise cabin $12,400. Shore excursion $2,800. Island resort $3,200. Kids spa day $340. Character breakfast $280. Professional photo package $450. Room service charges $1,100. Onboard shopping $890. My anger, already a raging inferno, burned hotter with each entry. My phone buzzed again, a long text from my mother. Jennifer Marie Patterson, you need to stop this right now. Your sister is hysterical. She's saying you're going to press charges over a vacation. Do you know how ridiculous that sounds? This is family. We don't call the police on family. What would your grandmother think? The blatant manipulation was almost impressive. She blamed me for not having kids, called me selfish, promised repayment they both knew would never happen. I typed back, you're right. We don't call the police on family. We also don't steal from family, lie to family, impersonate family members to banks, or manipulate family into opening credit cards under false pretenses. But here we are. I hit send. Her immediate response. False pretenses. Your father really does need medication. We weren't lying about that. Then where are the medical bills? I challenged. The $40 copay on the secured card I actually gave you access to, that's the only medical expense charged. Show me where you used my card for Dad's prescriptions or physical therapy, or any of the things you claimed you needed help with. Silence. The typing indicator appeared and disappeared, but no message came through. My desk phone rang. Jenny, there's a Brandon Kaufman here to see you. He says he's your brother-in-law. My blood ran cold. Tell him I'm not available. He's pretty insistent. Says it's a family emergency. Tell him to leave or I'll call security. 5 minutes later my cell phone rang. Brandon, what do you want? I answered, seething. Jesus, Jenny, you wouldn't even come down to talk to me. I drove all the way to your office. You drove to my workplace to harass me about your wife's theft? That's not a family emergency, Brandon. That's intimidation. He scoffed. I'm trying to fix this situation before it gets out of hand. It got out of hand when Melissa charged $21,000 to my credit card. He started making excuses, talking about cabin upgrades and special packages, and how the girls wanted to do all the activities. So, you're saying it's fine because you didn't plan to steal quite that much from me? I asked, incredulous. We didn't steal anything. Your parents gave us permission. My parents didn't have permission to give. That card was for medical expenses. AVL. Not vacation expenses. He tried to level with me, claimed financial struggles, Melissa's depression, how the card seemed like a blessing. A chance to make memories with my money that you accessed through identity theft without even asking me? He tried to justify it by saying I was single, had no kids, implying I didn't need the money. The sheer audacity left me speechless. What I spend my money on is none of your business. But for the record, I spend it on rent, groceries, student loans, car payments, and saving for my own future. Crazy concept, I know. He resorted to threats. Melissa could lose her kids if she gets a criminal record. Child Protective Services could get involved. That's not how it works, Brandon. Stop being dramatic. You're the one threatening to press charges over some credit card debt. People have debt all the time. People don't commit fraud and identity theft all the time. There's a difference. He finally offered to pay me back. With what money? I asked. You just said you're in a tight spot financially. Silence. Exactly. You can't pay me back. You never intended to pay me back. You just wanted a free vacation funded by someone you all apparently think is too stupid to notice. Nobody thinks you're stupid. Then what do you call lying to me about medical bills so I'd open a credit card, immediately handing that card to my sister, and spending $21,000 without my knowledge? What's the word for that, Brandon? He sighed. Can we meet somewhere and talk about this like adults? Maybe we can work out a payment plan or something. There's nothing to work out. I'm filing a police report. The credit card company is investigating. Whatever happens next is up to them and the legal system. You're really going to do this to your own family? My family already did this to me. I'm just responding appropriately. I hung up on him. Michael, a coworker, wheeled his chair over. Everything okay? You sounded stressed. Family drama, I said, trying to brush him off. It's fine. Doesn't sound fine. Want to grab coffee after work? Sometimes it helps to vent to someone who's not involved. I appreciated the offer. Okay, coffee sounds good. I didn't know then how much I would need that coffee. That evening, a furious pounding shook my apartment door. Through the peephole I saw my parents, my dad clutching a manila envelope. I opened the door just enough for them to see me, but didn't invite them in. Jenny, we need to talk, Dad said, his face pale. About how you gave my credit card to Melissa. Yeah, I think we do. My mom burst into tears. We didn't know she was going to spend that much. She said it would just be a few thousand for a nice vacation. And you didn't think to ask me first? I demanded. The person whose name is on the card? The person who opened it specifically for your medical expenses. Dad, hands shaking, pulled out a bank statement. My name clear as day at the top. Account holder, Jennifer Marie Patterson. Outstanding balance, $21,473.89. We thought we were helping your sister, Mom whispered, her voice choked. She's been so stressed. And I'm not. I shot back. I work 50 hours a week. I have my own bills. I opened this card to help you, not to fund Melissa's Instagram fantasy vacation. We'll pay you back, Dad said quickly. With what money? The money you don't have for your medical bills? The reason I opened this card in the first place. The truth hung heavy in the air. They couldn't pay me back. They knew it. They'd chosen her over me, assumed I'd just handle it because I always did. A memory surfaced, sharp and clear. 12 years old, saving birthday money for a bike. An envelope in my desk drawer. Empty. Mom had explained Melissa needed it for a Six Flags trip. She'd pay me back. She never did. When I brought it up, Mom said I was being petty. Melissa needed that trip. I could save up again. There would be other bikes. I never got that bike. I learned to stop saving money where Melissa could find it. This isn't the first time, I said quietly. You've been doing this my whole life. What are you talking about? Mom asked, but her eyes darted away. My birthday money for the bike, the college fund Grandma set up that mysteriously ran out before I graduated, the car you promised me for my 16th birthday that went to Melissa instead because she needed it more. How many times have I been the backup plan? How many times have you sacrificed what was mine to make Melissa happy? Dad's face went ashen. Jenny, those were different situations. No, they weren't. They were exactly the same. Melissa wants something, you give it to her, and somehow it always comes at my expense. I've spent my whole life being understanding, being responsible, being the easy daughter who doesn't complain. And you spent my whole life taking advantage of that. We love you both equally. Mom cried, her voice cracking. Love isn't just words, Mom. It's actions. And your actions have consistently shown that Melissa's happiness matters more than my well-being. This credit card thing isn't an isolated incident. It's just the biggest one. The silence stretched, heavy with decades of unspoken resentment. When I graduated college, I continued, my voice trembling with the weight of it all, you threw me a small dinner at home. When Melissa dropped out, you threw her a celebration of finding her path party and invited 50 people. When I got my first real job, you said congratulations over the phone. When Melissa got pregnant, you rented a venue for a gender reveal party. Do you see the pattern? Or are you so used to it that it doesn't even register anymore? You never seem to want those things, Dad said weakly. I never asked for them because I learned early that asking was pointless. Melissa was always going to get the party, the attention, the resources. I was always going to get the "we are so proud of you" phone call and nothing else. Mom started crying harder. We did our best. We were just trying to help your sister because she struggled more. She struggled because you enabled her. I snapped, the dam finally breaking. You paid for her mistakes instead of letting her learn from them. You bailed her out over and over until she became an adult who thinks it's acceptable to steal $21,000 for a vacation. You created this, and now you're angry at me for refusing to be part of it anymore. I looked at them both, these people who raised me, who I'd loved unconditionally, who I tried so hard to make proud. All I felt now was an overwhelming exhaustion. Melissa always gets what she wants, I said quietly. Her whole life. When she wrecked her car in high school, you bought her a new one. When she dropped out of college, you paid off her student loans. When she had her wedding, you spent 20 grand you didn't have. And I just watched, being the responsible one, never asking for anything. That's not fair. Mom protested. No, what's not fair is that I tried to do something good, something to help you, and you immediately handed it over to your favorite daughter so she could take her kids on a cruise that costs more than I make in 6 months. My dad's face crumpled. We didn't think of it that way. You never do. I stood and walked to the door, my hand on the knob. Behind me, I heard my mother stand up. If you do this, if you pursue charges against your sister, you'll regret it, she said, her voice cold and cutting. You'll be alone. No family, no one to call when you need help. Is that really what you want? I turned back to look at her, my resolve solidifying. I'm already alone. I've been alone this whole time. I just didn't realize it until you proved it. Don't be so dramatic. Family is family. We work through things. No, you work through things by sweeping them under the rug and expecting me to pretend nothing happened. I'm done pretending. So that's it? You're just going to throw us all away. I'm not throwing anyone away. You threw me away the minute you decided Melissa's vacation was more important than my financial security. You threw me away every time you chose her over me. This is just me finally accepting what you've been showing me my whole life. I opened the door. Don't walk away from me, Jennifer, my mother said, her voice rising in a desperate crescendo. I am your mother. You owe me respect. Respect is earned, and you've done nothing to earn it. I closed the door and locked it, ignoring their frantic knocking and pleading. Eventually they left. But the knocking on my door continued for another 10 minutes. Then I heard my mother's voice, muffled but clear through the wood. Your father had a heart attack 3 years ago. Did you know that? A small one. The doctor said he needed to reduce stress. And you know what the biggest source of stress was? Worrying about you. Worrying about whether you'd ever get married, have kids, be happy. We lie awake at night wondering if we failed you somehow. I pressed my forehead against the door, tears streaming down my face, the raw pain tearing through me. Melissa has a family, she continued, her voice gaining a cruel edge. She has Brandon and the girls. She has a purpose. What do you have, Jenny? A job? An apartment? Is that enough for a whole life? We gave Melissa the card because we thought maybe you'd see how happy the girls were and realize what you're missing. Maybe you'd want that for yourself. The psychological warfare was breathtaking in its cruelty. A new depth of manipulation I hadn't imagined possible. I ripped the door open suddenly, and my mother stumbled back, surprised. You want to know what I have? I asked, my voice shaking with fury and defiance. I have self-respect. I have financial stability that I earned myself. I have the ability to sleep at night knowing I didn't steal from anyone. I have a clear conscience. Melissa has debt, a criminal investigation, and a marriage held together by denial. But sure, Mom, I added, the bitter irony heavy in my tone. She's winning. You're going to die alone, my mother said viciously, her face contorted in a mask of pure malice. Bitter and alone, and no one will care. Better alone than surrounded by people who only love me for what I can give them. I shut the door again, this time inserting earplugs, determined to hear nothing else she said. The calls and texts continued for hours. Melissa sent a long message about my selfishness and jealousy. Mom sent endless paragraphs about forgiveness and family bonds, how I was breaking her heart. Dad sent a short text. Sorry, but you're overreacting. Then Brandon's text arrived, chilling me to the bone. Hope you're happy. Melissa hasn't stopped crying. Emma asked why Aunt Jenny hates Mommy. How do you explain to a 7-year-old that her aunt cares more about money than family? I stared at that message for a long time, the blatant weaponization of the children. Tell Emma that Aunt Jenny loves her very much. I typed back. But Mommy made a big mistake and now has to face the consequences. Tell her that's what happens when grown-ups make bad choices. It's called accountability. His response. You're a cold-hearted B********, and you're married to a thief. Guess we're both dealing with disappointment. I blocked his number. Around midnight, my doorbell rang again. Through the peephole, I saw Melissa mascara running, holding her phone. I cracked the door, chain still on. Go home, Melissa. Look at this, she sobbed, shoving her phone toward the gap. A photo of the twins crying, holding a sign. We love Aunt Jenny. The manipulation was so transparent it was almost comical. Did you make your 7-year-old daughters hold that sign? Or did Brandon? I asked, my voice flat. They're heartbroken. They don't understand why you're doing this. They're heartbroken because you're using them as emotional hostages. They should be in bed, not being weaponized in your attempt to avoid consequences. I'll go to jail, Jenny. Is that what you want? For your nieces to visit their mother in prison. You're not going to jail for a first-time nonviolent offense. Stop being dramatic. My whole life is ruined. I can't get a job with a criminal record. We'll lose everything. You should have thought about that before you committed fraud. It wasn't fraud. Mom and Dad said I could use it. They didn't have permission to tell you that. How many times do I have to explain this? She collapsed against the doorframe, sliding to the floor. I can't believe you're really doing this. We're sisters. We're supposed to have each other's backs. Having each other's backs doesn't mean letting you steal from me. I didn't steal. I borrowed. Without asking, without any plan to repay? That's theft, Melissa. That's literally the definition. She looked up, her puffy red eyes, and for a fleeting moment, I saw the little sister I'd grown up with, the one who climbed into my bed during thunderstorms. Then she spoke, and the illusion shattered completely. You know what your problem is? You've always been jealous of me. Mom and Dad had to give me more attention because you were so independent, so cold. You never needed anyone. So yeah, they helped me more because I actually appreciated it. The ice in my veins returned. Get off my floor and go home to your kids, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. And the next time you want to have a conversation with me, do it through your lawyer. I closed the door for the final time that night and turned my phone off completely. The next morning I called the credit card company. Calmly, clearly I explained everything. I'd opened the card for medical expenses. My parents had given the information to a third party without my knowledge, and fraudulent charges had been made. I'd like to dispute these charges and file a police report for credit card fraud, I stated. Ma'am, if you gave your parents access to the card, it becomes complicated. I gave them access for medical expenses, verbal permission only. I never authorized them to provide the information to anyone else or to make purchases of this nature. These charges were made by my sister without my knowledge or consent. The representative put me on hold. 20 minutes later she returned. We can freeze the account and open an investigation. You'll need to file a police report. Do you want to proceed? I took a deep breath. Yes. Be aware this could result in criminal charges against the parties involved. I understand. I went to the police station during my lunch break. The officer looked tired. You want to press charges against your family? I want to report fraud. My sister used my credit card without permission and charged over $21,000 to it. Did your parents give her the information? Yes, but I gave them access for specific medical expenses only. They exceeded their authority by providing the card information to a third party for non-medical purchases. The officer sighed. This is going to tear your family apart. They did that themselves. The report took an hour. I provided every piece of documentation. The dinner conversation, text messages about medical bills, Melissa's Instagram posts, her text admitting she used my card, proof I'd never authorized the spending. 2 days later a detective called. She wanted to interview me. I took a personal day and went down to the station with printed copies of everything. Your sister is claiming your parents had full permission to use the card however they wanted, the detective said. Then why did I only give them information for one specific secured card with a $500 limit? I asked. Why did my mother have to call the bank, impersonate me, and fraudulently obtain information for a completely different account? If I'd wanted them to have access to both cards, I would have given them both account numbers myself. I showed her the text from the dinner night, documentation showing I'd opened 2 separate cards on the same day. One secured with a $500 limit, one regular with a $15,000 limit, and proof I'd only verbally provided my parents with the secured card information. Your mother admitted to impersonating you to the bank? The detective asked. Yes. I have a recording of that phone call. I'd started recording our conversations after the first confrontation, knowing I might need evidence. Your parents are elderly. Are you sure you want to pursue this? My father is 62 and healthy, managing high blood pressure with generic medication that costs $40 a month. My mother is 60 and works full-time as an administrative assistant. They're not elderly, they're not incompetent, and they made a deliberate choice to commit identity theft so my sister could go on a luxury cruise. The detective nodded slowly. Okay, we'll continue the investigation. That evening Melissa showed up screaming. You called the police on your own family. What is wrong with you? You stole $21,000 from me. Mom and Dad gave me the card. It's not stealing. They didn't have permission to give you anything. That card was for medical expenses. You spent it on a luxury vacation. That's fraud, Melissa. That's a crime. The detective called me. They're saying I could be charged. Do you know what this will do to Brandon's job if I get arrested? Should have thought about that before you maxed out my credit card. Brandon's going to divorce me if this goes on my record. I'll lose my kids. You'll keep your kids, but maybe you should have considered consequences before committing a felony. I hate you. You're dead to me. Dead. She stormed off. I sank onto my couch, hands shaking. This was my sister, the girl I'd shared a room with, whose wedding I'd stood in, whose kids I'd babysat. Yet she'd stolen from me without a second thought. They all had. The investigation took 3 weeks. My parents hired a lawyer, who tried to settle as a family matter. I referred him to my own attorney, Robert Chen, whom I found through my company's legal assistance program. Robert listened without judgment. This happens more often than you'd think, he said. So what are my options? Well, you've already filed a police report, which was smart. The criminal investigation is separate from any civil action you might take. Your parents' lawyer wants to settle, which tells me they know your sister is in the wrong, and they're trying to avoid prosecution. What kind of settlement would even make sense here? Robert leaned back. That depends on what you want. Do you want your money back? Do you want your sister punished? Do you want your family to acknowledge what they did? All of the above. He smiled sadly. Unfortunately, you probably won't get all 3. Here's the reality. Your sister and her husband likely don't have $21,000. Even if you win a judgment against them, collecting it is a whole different battle. Meanwhile, your relationship with your family is destroyed either way. It's already destroyed, I said. They made sure of that. Fair enough. So let's talk strategy. The prosecutor is probably going to offer a plea deal. Most fraud cases like this don't go to trial. Your sister pleads to a lesser charge, gets probation, maybe some community service. She'll have to pay restitution, but again, actually collecting it is another story. What if I push for a trial? Then you're looking at months of delays, possibly years. You'll have to testify. Your parents will testify. It'll be in the public record. Your sister could potentially face jail time if convicted, which would affect her kids. The prosecutor will weigh all of that. And meanwhile, I'm still on the hook for the debt. Not necessarily, he clarified. Since you filed a police report and the credit card company is investigating, They'll likely write off the charges as fraud. They'll go after your sister and parents to recoup their losses, but you won't be responsible. Your credit might take a temporary hit, but it should recover once the fraud is confirmed. That was something at least. So what do you recommend? Honestly, accept whatever plea deal the prosecutor offers. Let the credit card company handle recovery. Focus on getting your life back together. The emotional cost of dragging this through court isn't worth it. I left his office feeling somewhat better, but also profoundly deflated. There was no winning here. Not really. Even if Melissa got convicted, even if the debt was erased, I'd still lost my family. The people I trusted most in the world had betrayed me for a vacation. That night I met Michael for coffee. So, he said, settling into a worn armchair, want to talk about it or should we discuss literally anything else? I don't know. Talking about it makes it real. It's already real though, right? He had a point. I found myself telling him everything. He listened, nodding, wincing. Damn, he said when I finished. That's brutal. I thought my divorce was bad, but at least my ex-wife didn't commit fraud. How did you get through it? The betrayal part, I mean. Michael considered. Therapy helped. And at some point I realized that her actions said everything about her and nothing about me. I wasn't unlovable or stupid or whatever I'd been telling myself. She was just selfish and made selfish choices. But it was your family, I said, grappling with it. How do you just walk away from family? You don't walk away. They push you away. There's a difference. You didn't do this, Jenny. They did. They made choices knowing it would hurt you, and they did it anyway. Something about hearing it from an outside perspective made it sink in differently. I keep thinking about the girls, I admitted. Sophia and Emma, they're only 7. They don't understand any of this. And now their mom might have a criminal record because of me. No, because of her. She made the choice to commit fraud. You just refuse to be a victim. Tell that to the voice in my head that says I'm destroying my family. Your family destroyed themselves. You're just refusing to go down with the ship. We talked for another hour. By the time we left, I felt a little less alone. Michael became a real friend after that, proving sometimes the best relationships come from the worst situations. The following week, Melissa's lawyer called, trying the same manipulative tactics. I shut him down. What I think is fair is for her to face the consequences of her actions. The prosecutor offered a deal. Melissa pleads guilty to misdemeanor fraud, mom to unauthorized access, probation, restitution, criminal records, but the credit card company would write off my debt. My lawyer advised me to take it. You get your credit cleared. Your mother and sister both have criminal records and proof that you acted in good faith. Sometimes that's the best outcome in family fraud cases. I wanted blood, I wanted them to suffer. But I was also exhausted. I'll accept the deal, I said. 3 weeks later, Melissa and my mother both pleaded guilty. I didn't attend the hearing. The credit card company removed the fraudulent charges from both my accounts, closed the cards, and went after Melissa and my mother for the money through civil collections. My phone stayed mostly silent after that. My parents sent occasional texts, still blaming me, still disappointed. Melissa sent nothing. 6 months went by. I changed my phone number and moved to a new apartment across town. I started therapy to deal with the raw betrayal and lingering guilt. My therapist kept telling me I'd done the right thing, but it didn't feel right. It felt like I detonated a bomb in the center of my life. Then one Saturday morning there was a knock on my new door. I opened it cautiously. My dad stood there looking older, smaller somehow. How did you find me? I asked. Your landlord's company is listed online. I called the main office. That's borderline stalking. Can I come in, please? Against my better judgment, I let him in. He sat on my couch staring at his hands. Your mother and I are divorcing, he said quietly. I said nothing. She can't forgive me for letting it get this far. She blames me for taking Melissa's side, for giving her the card. She says I always babied Melissa and took you for granted. He looked up at me, eyes red-rimmed. She's right. Why are you telling me this? I asked, my voice flat. Because I'm sorry. Really truly sorry. You opened that card to help us, and we betrayed your trust in the worst way possible. I've been going to therapy too, trying to understand why I did it. Melissa is like your mother. Emotional, demanding, always in crisis. You're like me. Steady, reliable, capable. I took you for granted because you never needed me the way Melissa did. But needing someone and deserving their help are different things. Tears streamed down his weathered face. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't deserve it. But I needed you to know that I understand what I did. I understand that I chose wrong. I understand that I lost my daughter, because I couldn't tell the difference between helping and enabling. Where's Mom? At Melissa's. She moved in with them after I filed for divorce. Apparently Brandon lost his job and they got evicted. The credit card company garnished Melissa's wages. She had to sell her car. They're barely making it. Part of me felt a cold sense of vindication. Another part felt hollow. What do you want from me, Dad? Nothing. I don't want anything. I just wanted you to know that you were right about everything. And I'm sorry. He stood up and walked to the door. Dad. He turned. Did you actually need help with medical bills? Or was that a setup to get me to open the card? His face crumbled, revealing the full extent of their deception. The bills were real. We were struggling. But your mother suggested I exaggerate how bad it was so you'd offer to help. She knew Melissa wanted to do something big for the girl's birthday. She'd been planning it for weeks. The final piece clicked into place. The whole dinner. The tears. The vulnerability. All orchestrated. They'd manipulated me from the start. Get out, I said quietly. Jenny. Get out of my apartment and don't ever contact me again. He left without another word. I stood there in my living room surrounded by furniture I bought myself, in an apartment I paid for with money I earned. Everything in my life was mine, built by me without them. It hurt. God, it hurt like nothing I'd ever experienced. But I was finally truly free. What would you have done in my place? Would you have pressed charges against your own family, even after years of this kind of manipulation? Let me know in the comments below. I'm really curious to hear your thoughts.